Shooting.
Also, we will learn more about one of the worst flu seasons in nearly a decade.
And I will have stories on the Iowa State-Kansas Jayhawks game. You're watching Newswatch.
Welcome to Newswatch. I'm Josh Lamberty.
And I'm Natalie Jones. Thanks for joining us. ISU Student Union Board announced that rapper Fetty Wap, Kyle, and Cheat Codes will be holding an outdoor concert on April 22nd. This will take place at 4 p.m. in the Molecular Biology parking lot. Iowa State students can pay $25 for each ticket in advance or $35 the week of.
An Iowa woman is finally returning home after 50 days in the hospital. After a serious car crash in December, doctors didn't know if 19-year-old Sydney Redler would survive. Redler suffered a fractured skull and bleeding in the brain. After 2 weeks in critical care in Des Moines, she was transferred to Omaha. Redler will continue daily rehabilitation, and doctors say that if she continues to work hard, Redler should make a full recovery.
The Iowa House bill for students will not advance this year. The bill had plans to enact an education savings program and expand charter schools' access. According to the Des Moines Register, currently the state allows $6,500 per student each year, while the bill proposed offered $5,000 to each student to use if they choose to enroll in a private school. The bill was scheduled for a committee vote this afternoon, but there was not enough to support it.
According to authorities, 7 students have been arrested in criminal charges for sharing nude photos. The Storm Lake police say they were alerted on February 6th about the incident. The police seized cell phones from 6 high schoolers and 1 middle schooler. Since the students are minors, their names will not be released, but possible charges may vary.
Flu season this year is not something to take lightly. 7-year-old Savannah Jessie died this month of the flu. According to Fox News, she was found unresponsive in her home and was then rushed to the hospital where she was pronounced dead. Before her death, she was treated for influenza B, strep throat, and scarlet fever. Just this year, 53 children have died from this life-threatening flu.
And we'll be right back after the break. You're watching Newswatch. Welcome back to Newswatch. Police have arrested 19-year-old Nicholas Cruz in connection with the killing of 17 people on Wednesday in Parkland, Florida. According to the police, after pulling the fire alarm, Cruz began to shoot. Cruz had previously been expelled from the school. According to sources, Cruz routinely threatened his peers and was abusive to his ex-girlfriend. Cruz legally purchased the firearm in 2017. Nicholas Cruz is being charged with 17 counts of premeditated murder without the possibility of parole.
Australian snowboarder Marcus Scherer broke his neck today in a terrible fall during the men's snowboarding cross quarterfinals. As he came down from a jump, he landed with all momentum on his back. After Scherer finished, it was ruled that he had broken the 5th vertebrae in his neck, luckily with no neurological issues. He is currently in stable condition.
The Chief of Staff for Veterans Affairs, David Shulkin, is under fire for allegedly altering an email and making false statements about taxpayer money. According to reports, a staffer altered language in an email regarding logistics of a trip to Europe for Shulkin and his wife. More than $4,000 in airfare was spent on the trip, among other expenses. The Inspector General and Department of Justice have not filed charges at this time.
The U.S. Senate might finally vote today on the immigration bill. This bipartisan bill would grant legal status to 1.8 million Dreamers through the DACA program. This is twice as much as under the Obama administration, as well as give Border Control $25 billion to build the wall. This funding would be distributed over the next 10 years as a compromise. There, however, is no agreement on the chain migration or end of the diversity visa program.
The Pennsylvania Supreme Court is reviewing new proposals to redraw congressional lines. The deadline allows justices 4 more days to impose new boundaries and allow May's primary election to stay on schedule. Pennsylvania's congressional map is widely viewed as one of the nation's most manipulated political scenes due to the use of gerrymandering. Republican Lawmakers say they will act quickly and ask the court to block a new map to avoid chaos during the primary election season.
After the break, we will be back with some sports. You're watching Newswatch.
Welcome back to Newswatch. Iowa State women's basketball team took on TCU on the road last night. The Cyclones beat the Horned Frogs 66-63. Junior Bridget Carlton scored 26 points in the Cyclones' win. The Cyclones are now 5-9 in Big 12 conference play. They look to continue the momentum on Saturday against Texas Tech in Hilton Coliseum at 3 p.m. The Iowa State women's softball team will head to Las Vegas this weekend for their second tournament of the season. Last weekend, they were in Conway, South Carolina for the Kickin' Chicken Classic. They went 2 for 3 in their season debut with new head coach Jamie Pinkerton. Tomorrow, the Cyclones will play against Boise State and Long Beach State. On Saturday, they will face off against BYU in Nevada. And on Sunday, they will close the tournament against San Jose State. On Tuesday, the Cyclones fell to the Kansas Jayhawks 83-77. The Iowa State men's basketball team will head to Manhattan, Kansas this weekend. They will play Big 12 competitors Kansas State. The last time the two teams met, Kansas State beat Iowa State 91-75. Iowa State has yet to win against a Big 12 team on the road. The Cyclones will look for redemption on Saturday at 12 o'clock p.m. You can watch that game on ESPNU. Baseball season is officially underway. Yesterday, all pitchers and catchers reported for the start of the spring training. With 42 days left until opening day, teams head south to the warm weather to begin preparations for the 2018 season. In what could be the first signs of summer, fans everywhere celebrated the start of baseball. Chicago Cubs first baseman Anthony Rizzo left spring training to return to his hometown in support of his alma mater. Rizzo attended Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, where the mass shooting occurred yesterday. The school's baseball field was renamed in his honor this past January after he donated $150,000 to help fund new stadium lights for the school. Rizzo, in a Twitter post, said, quote, "I hope in the darkest of times back home this brings everyone together and we can find love. You're all in my prayers," end quote. Stay tuned for weather right after the break.
Welcome back to Newswatch. And finally tonight, an 8th grader in Cedar Rapids made sure that no one got left out on Valentine's Day. Franklin Middle School student Cora Johansen made over 800 Valentines and placed them on lockers throughout the school. She made sure each locker had one after putting them up on Tuesday. Johansen said that she wanted everyone to feel loved this Valentine's Day, which is why she hand-wrote each and every card.
Wow, Josh, what a heartwarming story. Well, that's all we have for you for tonight's edition of Newswatch.
Stay tuned for an edition of Ames Tonight right after this. Have a great night, Ames.